Hello and welcome. My name is Elizabeth Gorman, and I'm the Director of Student Financial Services at MCPHS. I'm honored to be joined by Luke Wilson, the Senior Assistant Director of Admissions. We're pleased that you are able to join us today. This presentation is being recorded and can be used as a reference along the line. Our goal today is that you walk away with an understanding of how financial aid works for you and your family and what options are available to finance your education. Luke, would you like to say hello?
Certainly. Thank you so much, Beth. As she said, my name's Luke Wilson. I'm one of our admission counselors here. We cross-train a lot in financial aid details as well. So when you guys are going through this process, not just now, but down the road, you have the student financial services team that can help. You have the admissions office that can help you. So I really encourage you guys to reach out to us here. And to Beth's point earlier, what we want to do is make sure you're aware of where we're at in this point in time with financial aid processing. I'll let you know about a couple of things to come as well. So from there, I'm going to pass back over to Beth and let's get rolling.
Thanks, Luke. So Student Financial Services at MCPHS prides itself on having a high level of counseling and services for all of our admitted students and families. We've got professional staff on board that will help you come up with a plan to finance your education. We will do individual planning appointments. We can do that on the telephone, through a Zoom chat, or in person. We love to meet you, but we understand that it's not always possible to come on campus. We have a 24-hour accessible online student account center, which we will talk about a little bit further on another slide, where you can check your charges, check your financial aid, see your payments. But we want you to know that we're with you every step of the way. And it's always best to ask any question that you have, either through the chat today or through a personal appointment later on. So what should you be doing? If you're eligible, you should be applying for financial aid now. It's not too early to get that process started. There's a couple of things you need to have. You, as well as a parent, if you're a dependent student, need to have a FAFSA ID so that you can electronically sign your FAFSA. You can get that at this website, fsa.ed.gov, and you need to gather your information from 2021. That's the information that you're going to use when you're completing the 23-24 FAFSA. It's a free application and it's all done online. Our federal school code is 002165. And remember, you don't have to take notes and write things down. This is being recorded so you can refer back to it whenever you need to. And you're just going to go to the website FAFSA.gov and complete the 23-24 FAFSA. Once that's completed, you will get an electronic copy. It's called a student aid report, and you can review that to make sure it's accurate. The school will also get a copy electronically, and that will initiate the award process on our end. Once we get that FAFSA, it's going to drop into us electronically, and then we're going to assess you for financial aid, whether that be federal, state, or institutional. You are going to get a self-service login so that you can go to your own portal and see your financial aid package. It will be broken down per semester. It will also tell you if you're missing any requirements. We also will send you out weekly emails. So the best advice I can give you is please check your email. That is how we communicate to you. We understand that most kids nowadays do not read email, but the best advice I can give you is please read your emails. That's how we're going to communicate with you, whether something's missing and that we can't package your financial aid, or that we've packaged you, but it's only tentative because we're missing documents. So this is the best advice I can give you today is read your email.
Yes. And one thing to add on there, I often will get the question, parents will reach out and say, well, can you just send it to me? The answer is actually no. We have to send it to your student because it's their financial aid package and they're the ones going to school. So it's really important to start instilling, to Beth's point, the good habit of regularly checking email really on a daily basis, and even going to the extent of starting to organize it now and break it off into not just a college account, but also breaking it down by which schools. So you have it straight of this school's offering me this, that school's offering me that, and following it that way.
And for our first year students, when you get your first aid package, we do mail one copy to the home. You'll get a nice package in the mail, so you can get that at your kitchen table. You can sit down with your parents and go through that. But we only mail out the initial award. And from then on, after you get that one in the mail, it is going to be electronically sent to you.
Yeah, wonderful. Now, something that some of you guys might be wondering is, well, I saw I got admitted, but I only see information about a merit scholarship right now. It's important to note that that's only part of your financial aid package if you're submitting a FAFSA. The merit scholarship is what you receive, this first bullet point here. Merit scholarships are awarded from the admissions office based upon your student's application information, or if you're the student watching, based off your application information here. So that's taking into account primarily GPA, but also the other different pieces that you've been doing throughout your high school career. So those activities you talked about on your application, all those things, those come into play here. It's important to note that your merit award renews automatically as you go through your program. You do have to keep over a 2.5 GPA. Realistically, though, with all of our majors, you should be doing far better than that as you go through it. Some of them have higher threshold of requirements to progress anyway. So we design it where we don't want this falling off. We want this to stay in place through the entirety of your education. Another important thing about that renewability is, depending on your program, it goes throughout the entirety of it while you're with MCPHS. So whether you're in an accelerated 3-year program, or whether you're in a dual degree pathway program where it's going to be 6 years that you're with MCPHS, regardless, each year that merit scholarship is going to stay in place as long as you're progressing academically. That's an important question that you should ask every school. There are many schools that discontinue merit scholarships after undergraduate studies or after the first 4 years of a program, and they don't reinstate it. They have you reapply. We don't do that. We like to keep it in place to make sure we're affordable, big picture, not just for year one. Now, there's also the other side, which the FAFSA is going to provide, which is need-based grant programs. So these are different things that can come from the federal government, or with regard to MCPHS, we have our own here. So the information on this slide is specific to MCPHS. Our need-based grant program eligibility for students is determined from the FAFSA. So that hasn't been distinguished yet. Just to clarify, merit scholarship, you have that information once you've been admitted. However, any need-based grants, you're not going to find that out until we process your FAFSA, and we do that after you've been admitted. Typically, we start those processes in early January. We actually start them over the winter break. However, we send out our first batch of full financial aid packages right around mid-January or so. That's where you'll first see any need-based grant program you would be receiving from us here. It's also important to note that FAFSA is cyclical and annual. So each year, your FAFSA is going to need to be redone. Now, that also means that need-based grants, typically, if family finances stay consistent, need-based grants stay in place. But if there are large jumps in income, either increases or decreases there, that could affect any need-based grants that you're receiving. And that's true across the board with just about every institution out there. So that's sort of big picture everything, just so you're aware. Now, other things that are going to come through that aid package are sourced from the government, the federal government. Now, the federal government uses the FAFSA. The free application for federal student aid is what those initials stand for. Their need-based grant programs get applied to tuition. Grants do not need to be repaid. It's important to make that distinction. So anything you see on any financial aid packages that's named as a grant, those are monies going directly towards tuition that you do not need to repay. Students that fill out their FAFSA and receive their financial aid package starting in January will also notice that there's the Federal Direct Student Stafford Loan Program. These are loans that are given to you by the federal government. They do need to be repaid after graduation. They're already offered to you. They're already approved. Students just need to essentially go through the process of raising their hand and saying they want them later on in spring/early summer. That we'll go over those details in later presentations. We don't want to bog you down with the nitty-gritty just yet here. But it's important to note that, that will be listed on there. So what we're going to be mentioning in a moment here is the importance of having these conversations so you know specific cost and knowing what the details are in your aid package. You guys should also note that there are some state aid packages out there as well. That's also going to be determined based upon the FAFSA, and it's also specific on a student-to-student basis. Beth, is there anything you want to add in there that I haven't touched on just yet?
No, I think that you did a great job. The other thing is that you might be offered a work study position. Everything will be on your aid package. And that's why we encourage you to have a one-on-one appointment once you get your aid package with an admissions or an SFS counselor, so that you can really talk about what needs to be repaid, what is a grant, what is a loan, and what is my gap, and how am I going to meet that gap. But your initial award letter will have all of the awards that you've been granted, and then we can fill the gap from there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Now, speaking of that affordability appointment, we start opening those up right in January, right when those financial aid appointments go out. So these are very specific and unique to each individual student. It's not like we do these as group events or anything like that. They're always going to be one-on-one meetings with us. And to Beth's point earlier, we realize some of you guys that are watching are across the country or out of the country. So we can do these over the phone. We can do them virtually through Zoom. If you're going to be on campus, we'd love to do it in person with you as well. We really like to make sure we hammer down the points that Beth just mentioned of making sure you fully understand what your aid package is. And what it means specifically to your cost of attendance. We give an estimate of your first year's cost when we do this. We can also use it for ballpark planning for future years and overall cost of attendance. That's something you guys should always be doing when you're looking at your education, not just in a vacuum one individual year. Now, it's also very important that you don't just limit it to looking at it from the perspective of FAFSA and merit scholarship. There are a lot of outside scholarships that are available as well. Some of them are unique just to your local region, whether it be local businesses or your high school has specific scholarships you can apply for. Those are things that are actually probably open right now. They start opening those up in January, sometimes even November. They keep them open often all the way out until May in some circumstances if they haven't gotten enough applicants for them. So certainly dig into local scholarships, talk to your guidance offices about that, talk to your high schools about that. If you guys have part-time work, talk to your jobs, because oftentimes they'll have a lot of programs, and little ones add up. Our students bring in, over $1 million in aid each semester that come from privately sourced scholarships that aren't from us necessarily. And a lot of them are smaller checks of, $1,000 or under $1,000, but it's students getting multiple. It's not like you're limited to just one. Those can add up for you and really help in the long run. So now's a good time to start looking at those. And again, it's really important that you do your research and you take the time to have these conversations, not just with us, but other schools, and get a clear understanding of what your cost of attendance is going to be. I'm going to turn it back over to Beth now so she can talk a little bit about sort of overall timeline, where we're at, and what you want to be considering as you move on. Go ahead, Beth.
Thanks, Luke. Okay, so this is a planning timeline, and it's really a draft of what you should be thinking about and considering. Right now, you should be submitting your FAFSA. If you're eligible to file FAFSA, we highly recommend that you do it now. The earlier, the better, because you want to be able to make your decision based on an educated decision on what the costs are and what your aid package looks like and what's the gap. We start awarding new students in mid-January. Like we said earlier, the first award letter is mailed out to the family home and also sent electronically. And once you get that, you want to see, okay, I'm going to need more money. What should I be doing? Like Luke said, look at a private scholarship. Your high school guidance counselor is a great resource. Most high schools have an award ceremony in the spring. So you want to hit them up. And also, if your parents have any kind of affiliation in the community, do they have outside scholarships? Apply for as many as you can. January to April, you're going to get your financial aid package to home. You're going to start comparing that to the other colleges that you've applied to. You're going to consider, where do I want to deposit? And you're going to submit that deposit when you're ready. We don't force you to submit it before May 1st, but we highly recommend, if you've made your commitment, you want to come to MCPS, MCPHS, get that deposit in, because once you do, then we start sending you much more detailed communications about next steps. You're a committed student to us, so we want to make sure that you're getting everything done on time. But by May 1st, you want to submit your deposit. And then June, we start dropping our bills for the fall. Bills are due on the 1st of August for the fall. This is an online process. This is really hard for some families to wrap your head around because nothing's going to come in the mail. Everything is going to be sent to the student electronically. Luckily, you can have shared access to the Student Account Center. So we highly recommend that parents also get an account on the Student Account Center so they can go in and see what's happening. Every student is going to be charged health insurance because that's a Massachusetts state mandate. So that can be waived if you have your student on a health insurance policy that's going to continue while they're at MCPHS. So you want to make sure that you waive your health insurance. You want to make sure that you're putting your financial plan in place by the bill due date, which is August 1st. So that means if you're thinking that you're going to do a private loan or a parent loan, that you've had that approved, that if you're thinking about a payment plan, that you've signed up for that so that it's all set for August 1st. August 1st is the fall bill. You get billed for every semester that you register. So, fall, spring, summer, if you need to. So you just want to put all of those things in place by the bill due date. It doesn't mean that the bill has to be paid in full by August 1st. It's just that your payment arrangement has to be secured by August 1st. And again, we're here to help you along the line, a whole line of, we don't expect you to be doing this by yourself. That's why we recommend the affordability appointments or just a quick phone call when you have a question. If you're on our Nelnet, which is our servicer for payment plans, and you're confused, pick up the phone and call us. We highly encourage that. We like to hear from our families. And we pride ourselves on getting back to you if you have to leave a voicemail and really holding your hand through this process. We don't want you to be out there doing it by yourselves. We also are very willing to compare award letters. If you are looking at other schools and you think their package is better than our package, or you're just confused by an award letter, give us a call, schedule an appointment, Zoom, phone, in person, bring those award letters with you, and we will sit down and crunch numbers with you. Happy to do that. We want you to make an educated decision and one that works for you and your family.
Wonderful. Now, it's also important to note that we don't expect you to do all this right now. It's a little early to be doing all that right now here. We have plenty of time to organize this. I don't want you guys to feel rushed. I know a lot of students out there, when you first see you're admitted, you look at that next step, it says submit deposit. You don't have to do that right now. Like we said, you have until May 1st to make that decision. Make sure you're making an informed decision there. What we do want you to understand is you have time to figure out cost. So those affordability appointments, as soon as you get your financial aid packages, that really should be what you're pinpointing as your next step, and almost combining that with your visits as an admitted student now and making sure that we're a fit, obviously financially, that's what we're talking about today. But it's also making sure that we're going to be a fit academically and socially for you. Every school is very unique. Every school is very different. They have different norms that they're going to offer you, and not everyone's the same. That's the wonderful thing about being human. What we want to make sure is when you're coming here, all of those pieces make sense. Cost is going to make sense. So you're not focusing on that when you should be focusing on your academics, right? We want to make sure that academically we have the teaching style that you're going to want. And we want to make sure that when you're here, you feel like it makes sense. This is home, because you're spending a lot of time here. Even if you guys are planning on commuting, you're spending a lot of time here. So it's really important to make sure all those pieces are there. And really the next step in that is sort of using that, late winter, early springtime to visit for our different admitted student events, having an affordability when you make those visits, or scheduling that affordability appointment as a one-off if you prefer to do it that way, if you know you're not going to be making it out here until later on in the spring because you're coming from a distance or something like that. That's perfectly okay. Additionally, people, especially parents right now, they see anything mentioning bills. They're like, some of them are saying, well, how can I figure this out and get this done now? You have time. You're in a bit of a waiting period. It's not going to be, You're not going to be taking any of those steps of setting up payment plans or filling out loan applications or anything like that really until later on towards the end of spring and early summer. You don't have to rush that process right now. It really is step one, like I mentioned before. I know I might be beating a bit of a dead horse here, but have those affordability appointments first, get those scheduled in January when they become available to sign up for them. And we can make sure that we go over this really in specific detail with you. And all of this is to make sure when we hit August 1st, you know your financial plan. You don't have to wait until July to figure that out. We can get this all done ahead of time. I want parents to enjoy their students' last semester in high school. I want students to enjoy their last semester of high school and not have all of these things looming over them and waiting until last minute to get stuff done. I want you guys to thoroughly enjoy that. I want you to be able to enjoy your summer as well before you start up your college education, and being able to just parcel it out in pieces and getting it done over time. I find that's what makes it the best experience for students and their families all along. Now, all of these different pieces that we mentioned today, this is what helps us with regard to getting a really good investment on your education. Yes, we have wonderful accolades around our students' earnings after they graduate. So if any debt is needed when you go through school here, you're going into a field where you're going to be still more than comfortable and still have disposable income after you graduate. It's also very important to note that, we are a private institution, and as a private institution, we have on average 15% lower cost in our tuition than other private colleges in Massachusetts. That's an important thing to note, especially to what Beth mentioned earlier with regard to comparing aid awards. You'll find there's a lot of schools out there that will offer really high merit awards. Their tuition is also really high though. So you want to make sure that you're going in understanding actual cost, not just looking at the number figure of what a merit scholarship might be. Beth, anything you want to add to that point, or any other last advice that you want to give folks before we let them go?
The best advice I can give is just ask questions. When you get your aid, look it over, call us. If something has changed, because we're basing this on income that was earned in 2021, and we understand that maybe life has not gone the same way that it did, we can look at that. If things have changed in 2022 and you're not earning the same income, or something has happened in your life, we need to know about that. So don't just get that award letter, say, hey, I can't make this work, put it in a folder and just write us off. Give us a call and let's have a chat.
Wonderful. And if I could add something to that too, I'm going to echo what or repeat what Beth mentioned earlier. Students, really important that we start building good habits around monitoring communication from us and other schools. Keep an eye on your email. Make sure the email you're checking is the email that the school is using to connect with you as well. There's a lot of students who will put their high school emails on their common applications or their applications when they reach out, but then they stop looking at their high school email account after a certain period. So make sure that you're using the best systems that you use most frequently in your communications with us. So certainly always double check those pieces around, well, what email am I getting stuff from? Is this the best email for me? And organizing that for yourself. Believe it or not, folks who have a good grasp on those pieces tend to have the smoothest process in not only figuring out and getting the best result of where am I attending and is this good for me? It also transitions into, or I should say, it makes the easiest transition into college, because once you start school, I don't know a single school in the nation that doesn't use email from faculty in their communications with students. Once you're a student here, I didn't get the email is not going to be an acceptable excuse from any of your faculty. So building those habits now is going to help you a lot in the long run. I promise you that, whether it's with us or anywhere else, it's a very good habit to have. Beth, anything else you want to add before we wrap up here?
I think we're good, Luke. I just want to thank everyone for coming today and really enjoyed it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of your time. And again, to Beth's point, keep in touch. Bye-bye.
Bye.